Okay, um, let's continue. I just got a new mouse. The last one was just, yeah, being problematic. Okay, so just reduce the music here. Okay, so we have a few shading issues on this here. So what I'm going to do is just reduce those by inserting this face here. Okay, let's give this a plastic material as well. So I'm just going to select that and add a new material. Just select this, insert. Also, I also want this plastic material to have some scratches to it, so I'm just going to give it the same treatment. Make sure this is set to object projection. Let me first turn off screen space reflections for a second. And then let's see. Let me select better scratches for this. Select this. Now we can use that as a base color. Sorry, as a roughness for the roughness, and also can add a math node to help with the roughness, and then we can also add a vector bump map to this for the displacement. Reduce the bumps just a tiny bit, maybe 0.05, and then let's play with the roughness. What I'm going to do is just invert this roughness map. Just increase the roughness just a bit. I can see what we have. Now let me just remove this bump. You can see how our roughness looks. Maybe increase the number of scratches. So this is going to be our seat. Let me also adjust the color just a bit to make it a bit bluish, more bluish, like in our scene. These scratches look a bit too large for me. It's too small for me. So let me increase them. And maybe mix them with these scratches here. So I'm just going to select them like that, then paste them into this. Now I can use a color mix RGB to blend the two scratches. Let's see what we have. So I'm going to choose multiply. Let's try screen. I think that should work better. Just have to increase the size of the scratches just a bit. Now this is going to be our roughness map. If we preview now, just have to play with the add value here to control our roughness. I think that's good enough. So we can add this now. Hey, let me make it a bit reflective, more reflective, somewhere there. Now we can add this to our scene. So let me just move this in, scale it down, fit the scale. And I think that's close to the scale we want. Now we just have to position this exactly as it should be. I think we have 2 for each of these bar handles, so let's going to add this bit. I think it's supposed to be a bit thin, so we just have to bring these in just a bit like that. Now we can add an array on the y-axis. Around there. I just have to copy this array again. And just give it a nice offset. So around there. Now we can increase this to have something like that. Then add our mirror. Remember, if you watch the previous live stream, you know we have an empty to help us mirror objects nicely. This empty here. So if I make this, you can see it can control how wide our train is going to be. So if we go to our lighting, let's see, this is what we have so far. Now let's see, I think this can also be given our plastic material, plastic white material. Let's call this plastic white, plastic white. And then I want this to have the same material, plastic white. Then let's see what else can we do. Let's create these handles here. which shouldn't be that hard to make. I'm also going to make them from a side here. So we can start with a plane, rotate it 90 degrees, scale it in like that, and then we can select these edges, shift bit bevel them, make sure that I reduce the bevel resolution. Let me also bring back my profile to 0.5. This is a bit wider, I think. Then these edges are somewhere like that, and this is smaller at the top, maybe it's longer. Now if we extrude this on the x-axis like that, we need to delete these faces. Then we can add no, actually, if we select this, you can just extrude this using Alt E along its faces, sorry, along its normals like that. Now we can select these edges and then bevel them, Ctrl B, just increase the bevel resolution like that. Shade smooth, and now we have something like that. Also go to object data, turn on auto smooth like that. So this is our handle. I'm also just going to round off these edges just a bit, so I'll select them so they're not too sharp like that. So Ctrl B to bevel them. It's also going to reduce the resolution to something like that. And now in auto smooth we can change the angle to 45 so that we get rid of those sharp edges. Now let's add in this belt here, or handle, I don't know. So for that, let me first add loop here so that we can use a loop here so that we can use the mirror modifier. So mirror, come on, and okay, why do we have this edge loop here? Don't want that. So we want to add in these here. So for that, I'm just going to add, let me create it from the outside here. Add a plane. Again, make this handle a bit smaller. Use the bevel tool to round it off like that. I can select this, push it in, and then extrude like that. You can delete this edge. Then select this, Ctrl B to bevel it. So to have something like that, maybe we can even scale it in like that. Don't need this edge. Now we can select everything, extrude on the y-axis, shade smooth, recalculate normals using Shift N. You can add a bevel, a solidify modifier, just to make things a bit thick. Then add auto smooth for this. Now we can bring it into position. Somewhere like that. Now let's create this here that ties things together. So for that, let's add a cube. Scale it on the x-axis, something like that. Now you can select this face. Let's also apply this scale. Now if we select these edges, Christian William, a smooth workflow, my friend. I will check it later. Thank you. So we can bevel this using Ctrl B. It's just going to round off the edges, but if you change the profile, you can instead push those bevels inside, which I think is the same design for these handles. Something like that. Maybe you can reduce the segments, something like that. Turn on auto smooth. have something like that. If you're trying to be fancy, you can add a loop there and a loop there. Select the two, bevel them using Ctrl B. Just have one loop inside, then Ctrl minus to Ctrl minus. I should have selected this inside vertex. I'm not sure why it's not selecting it, but that's okay. Then scale this in like that, so we can have some nice detail. If you want, you can round off these edges even further by adding a bevel modifier. Just set the limit method to angle and turn on hardened normals so that we have smoother vertices like that. I'm going to pull this up and maybe scale this on the x-axis just like that. Then I can extend this like that. So I can insert this, then extrude inside and then delete that face. Make sure you're deleting a face, not edges, to have something like that. Now I also want to mirror this on the y-axis, on the z-axis. So what I can do is add a mirror z. Let's first apply the rotation and make sure we have this as the object for the mirror. Let's just reset the origin to be by geometry. I'm also going to insert this and then extrude in and delete the vertex, so we have something like that. I think these are too large or too wide, so let me just also drag this down just a bit so that this is long, and maybe scale this down, bring this in. Okay, I think this has to be scaled down as well. Drag it up. This should be pushed in a bit like that. We can create a hole here, so I'm just going to add maybe 3 vertices like that. You don't have to do this, but I'm just going to do it to add some bit of detail to this. So I'm also going to select these edge loops here, extrude them in the Z axis. It's not in the original design, but that's okay. We're just going to change it up a bit to make things look much better. Now I can select these, pull them in, select these, pull them in. I think we can round off these edges just a bit. Make sure the profile, the bevel profile is set to 0.5. And now we can also bevel this edge loop using that vertex using Ctrl Shift B. Change the profile back, hit F and then Shift Alt S and then 1. Have something like that. Now we can extrude this in the make sure you turn on clipping so that we don't have vertices intersecting. Also going to bevel round off that edge just a bit like that. We have this shading, weird shading going on here. We can get rid of that by just subdividing this here. Subdivide. We can drag this up and reduce on that stretching. Then we can also reduce the endgone we are having here. That is creating that shading issue. Now it's not as bad as it was. This is going to be a small thing, but I think we have too many polygons. We are adding a lot of geometry on it for something that is going to be very small. So let me try reducing some of those polygons by reducing removing some edges. I think for now this is okay. Maybe let me just also merge these. Something like that. Just need to scale this down just a bit. We are going to join this into a single object, so I'm going to apply some of the modifiers we have here, so that I'm not going to add this bevel because this is this is going to be a small object in our scene, so I don't want it to be that detailed. But if you want to have it detailed, you can add the bevel modifier. Now, before we place it into our scene, let me just work on the let's first change the auto smooth angle to something like 45 so that we get rid of. Hello, David Maisuradze. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Yeah, so let's work on the materials before we place this into our scene. Let me isolate it for a second. Now we have the plastic material. Plastic, I'll call it plastic blue because that's the blue chair we set here. But I'm going to duplicate this. Let's go to look dev here and change up a few things. So I'll call this gray, light gray, plastic light gray, and change the color to match the color we have here. And then, yeah, I think they're using the same material, except I would imagine this, I don't know how to call it, this here is using a more cloth or fabric material, so I'll just use the same material, change it a bit. So let's find a texture that is going to give us that fabric material. So I think this is good, though I don't think it is looping. Sorry, it's styling. Again, we're going to change the texture coordinate mapping to object so that we don't UV unwrap this. But if you want, you can UV unwrap it. And actually, I think UV unwrapping this would save us quite a lot of issues. So let me do just that, since it's a very simple object to UV unwrap. So I'm just adding a loop everywhere I think would be necessary. And also maybe a loop around here, Control E, mark seam. Now if you go to UV editing and unwrap, you can see we have our UVs. And because of this hole here, I also need to add a loop around there, mark UV, then unwrap that, and we should do the same. So this loop here I'm adding here is I think this one here, so I'm just going to add a maxim here, you can see. So if I unwrap again, let me first remove that background image so that we can see everything easily. I'm also going to add another seam here so that I can untangle what's there. So yeah, this is what we have. So we can go back to our material, and for this object here, for this one here, we are going to use UV mapping. Just have to scale this down. Now we can use this as a bump map. Connect this to the normal. Now, if you preview this material now, you can see what we are having. Just have to reduce these bumps and maybe increase the roughness just a bit. Maybe even make this a bit darker. I don't want it to intersect, and I think we have a lot of polygons here that are not going to be visible. So let me just Ctrl L to select this part here. So these faces are not going to be seen, so I'm just going to remove that, remove them, so that we reduce our polygon count. Yeah, so also going to bring these in just a bit so that they don't intersect. So this is what we have. I also want this to go through that hole we added, so I'm just going to select I think, let's see, that, turn on proportional editing, but make sure that you have connected only turned on so that we don't pull vertices of this part. Now this is our handle. So
now it's just like, man, you gotta have that time where you just like disconnect from
okay,
scene.
what?
Just the race.
Now let's bring this into our scene, scale it down. It should be on our pipes. I think this here has to be a bit curved, so I'm just going to pull that so that it's curving as well. And sits nicely onto the pole. Something like that. Now we can use the array modifier. Let me make sure to save this copy. But it should be the y-axis, and add as many as you want. So I'm just going to increase the offset just a bit here. And since we are in a pandemic situation, let me just increase the offset even further so that people are not too close to each other like that, and reduce the count. So 3 per pole. Then we can copy this array and reduce the offset. Just increase the count to something like, I don't know, 3, 5, and then let's use our mirror. Select our mirror object, main mirror object. Now we have them placed on both sides. What else should we work on now? Let's see. So this is what we have right now, and I think I'm not seeing any major details that we are missing, except for these stickers and everything. Or I'm not seeing now that my seat here is inside this pole, so let me fix that. And here, and I'm also missing this here that connects the poles together. So for that, let me just select this pole here, this edge loop on the pole, Ctrl B to bevel that. I'm also going to straighten this edge here, turn on proportional editing, like this, like that. Now what I can do is select this ring here, then Alt E to extrude along its normals, then do something like that. And let's turn on auto smooth here, just increase the angle to something like 45, so that we have a sharp angle there. And what I'm also going to do is separate this portion here using Y, maybe scale it up a bit, just a bit, and select this vertex here, or this edge loop, using Ctrl B, and then to bevel it, and then extrude this edge like so. Let's just make sure that it's aligning correctly. It's not, and let's see why. I think it's because of how we made this pole. So what I'm going to do is go to and see how this pole is looking. It's going to try and straighten this a bit, like so. And then we need to round off these edges here with Ctrl B. Just change the low profile to back to 0.5. Now we also want these screws, so I'm just going to select that edge, then add a circle there with 8 vertices is enough. Turn on proportional editing, rotate this on the rotate this on the x-axis. Okay, yes, here, scale it down. Hit F, extrude, Ctrl B, bevel, reduce the bevel resolution, shade smooth. We have our nut. You can scale it up, Shift D, Z, and move it down like that. So there's supposed to be a gap here, so I'm just going to select this edge loop, delete that, so we have something like that. And I can select this face and this face, hit it to extrude them, and then scale them on the x-axis. Actually that's not going to work. Let's just select the outer edge like that, hit E, and scale them on the y-axis like that. Hi from Spain, Madrid. Yeah, how is that area? Because I heard it was under quarantine. Hope you're doing great. And yeah, but we are all having the same situation. But how are you doing there? How is Spain? Hope it's doing great. Anyway, so I think I lost the thickness for this mirror when I applied the array for it, when I joined it to this pole. So I'm just going to extrude it again, have something like that. And maybe also pull these vertices That's great to hear. Angel Agudo. I can't really pronounce your name, sorry, but yeah. So yeah, to have something like that. And since this has the mirror and the array, they're all being repeated all over everywhere. So from there, let's see. We can add in a few details. You also see, don't worry, that's what Angel is saying. Yeah, I'm not too worried, but whatever is happening in your area is also happening almost everywhere. So yeah, so let's rotate this so we can have those extra edge loops. No, I don't think that's how they are, but let's see. I think if we just use a plane, rotate this 90 degrees, scale it down, and go to this vertex edge, this edge, Ctrl B to bevel it, so we can round it off like that. Maybe scale this on the x-axis just like that. So align this, delete this vertex, go to object, convert curve, and then under curve, go under geometry, increase the bevel resolution, the bevel at something like that. Where is our vertex? Our object. If we bring that in, we would have something like that. Then what we need to do is select, say, maybe add a loop around there, bevel that loop, and out it, extrude along the faces like that. I'm just going to expand this selection to something like that. Then maybe separate this mesh so that it's like that. Maybe scale it on the y-axis. So this is going to be the connection from this to this, and I can bring in this here. Make sure that it's aligning with our new pole, or with our new ring here. Just move it on the y-axis like so. Now I need to convert this into a mesh and then join this to this, Ctrl J, and then I can select this piece and this, Ctrl L, select, or L, just select, use L to select the entire thing, and then go under face, boolean. What we want to use is union, so that we join this part to this. Let's make sure that we don't have any residue elements. So let me just isolate this piece as well. Zoom back to it. You can see that now this mesh is connected, well connected. I don't need this face to be there. And if you want, you can try and fix some of these issues here. So I'm just going to join these two vertices like that. Maybe also try removing doubles if, yes, I think I had some doubles somewhere. My system is very slow. Muhammad Sharif. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I also experience my computer being slow quite a lot because I tried to do a lot of heavy stuff. But and your machine will always be slow depending on what you're doing. Because even large studios like MPC have to render one single frame for hours sometimes. So it is always relative to, your computer speed is always relative to what you're doing. So whatever you're experiencing, everyone is experiencing. You just have to do what you have to do. what you can afford to do. But is the same diameter. But is the same diameter. I'm not sure what you mean, Angel. What diameter do you mean? Let's see. I think this is okay because it's going to be hidden anyways. Since we already have that, let's add also this loop here. Some other loop around there. Then Alt E, push that out like so. We don't need these faces. Now we can select that, then Shift D to duplicate this a few times, and we have that. Oh, the pipes. Yeah, they should be the same diameter. This should be the same diameter as this. Thank you for pointing that out. If you want to do that, you would have to use Alt S. You would have to use Alt S, but for on this pipe. So let's select that, something like that. Then Alt S to have something to increase the diameter. I think that's it, but I will also have to come back in here, use Alt S to make those larger than that. We are going to have a few issues here because we just changed the diameter, but if you select this ring and pull it out, and pull out which process is best for Blender? I'm not really sure, unfortunately, but you can try watch Linux tech tips. They have a lot of tutorial. They have a lot of videos on building PCs. Is the best channel for that. So since we have changed the diameter, we might have to check some of the meshes here to make sure that everything is aligning correctly. You can see that we have a few issues in different areas, but that shouldn't be a big deal. We can easily fix it, and I'm not too worried about those areas. Kali Seal, thank you so much for the video and the valuable time. God bless you. I mean, yeah, thank you too, and God bless you too. And let's see, what do we need? I think we can. Yeah, no, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this since it's going to be on the back side of the camera. So yeah, and since we increased the diameter of this, we also need to delete this piece and just reuse the new piece. So Shift D, move this on the y-axis like so. And now what? Let's see, what else do we need to do? First, we need to make sure that these things are not intersecting, because I'm saying here that this is intersecting with our window here. So let's see how to fix that. We can grab the frame and the window, move them like so. Now, what else do we need to do? You can see there's also this small detail here that is kind of holding this piece together, and I'm just not noticing this now. Some of these chairs are 3 in a pile instead of just 1, so we're going to handle that also. Can you do a sword slash? Yeah, I think I can do that, maybe in a next stream or tutorial. So let's see, what else can we do? What else? We want to add this detail here. Those small details add up and make things look more interesting. That's why I'm trying to add them. So let's add a plane here, rotate it, scale it down, bring it in front, scale it down again. It's a simple detail, but it can do quite a lot to tie the scene together. So I'm just going to pull this up, then extrude, then Ctrl Shift B. Yeah, like that. Hey, you can see other pipe down the window. Ah, you can see other pipe down the window. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean, but then we can select this piece, Ctrl L, extrude that in the model. You mean there is a pipe intersecting in the photo reference? Yeah, I'm not sure. It's yeah, so let's also round off these edges just a bit. Ctrl B, then Ctrl L, duplicate this on the other side. Shift D, duplicate this on this side. So we have something like that. What else? Then I'll also have these. I don't know what they are, but let me just add them. So circle, we can use maybe 12 segments. Sorry, what it says? Hit F, insert, then delete that middle part, then extrude out. I can delete those faces, then select these outside rings, bevel them, and then shade smooth, scale this down to size, and let's place them just below this piece. Like that. And I think, let's see. Yeah, this has a bevel, so I don't want to have this to have a bevel. So let's add an array in the y-axis. Change the offset. So I think it's 2 for each of these. So I think that could be a nice detail. So I'm just going to also do that. So go as many as possible as necessary, and then add a mirror. Use the empty as our mirror, so that this is mirrored on this other side. Let's also make sure that this is given the same material, a metal material. Hi Vision TV series, how are you doing? Now, yeah, let's work on this back side. So let's zoom into that. Let's add this, whatever this is. And I think instead of modeling that from scratch, we already have these banners here. These banners, which is supposed to extend further down. So let's make that. If I duplicate this and remove the array and the mirror, but this on the z-axis, maybe clear rotation, I can use that because it's in the same design as that screen. And maybe let me add a mirror modifier. And I think the only difference is that these frames are a bit wider. So I can add a loop here. Let me isolate this object here. I think this is a bit more thick, wider as well. And these corners are maybe a bit round. Let me first get rid of this vertex and this, straighten that edge. So I think this here is a bit rounded. Let's change the smooth angle to 45. Yeah, I think this is how it's supposed to be. So let's work on the materials now, because I think most of the things we are supposed to add have been added. Let's begin by working on these banners here. So I'm just going to open up Photoshop and use Photoshop for adding those details. And I'm also going to use Google here and find some banners here. Let me just find banners. Web banners. You can see there are quite a few designs here that we can choose from. I think this is nice. Let's see. Let's do fitness. We can also add, let me just save this. We can also add, let's see, movie. Movie posters. Let's add Aladdin. Now we just have to create a new Photoshop document and apply the textures we want. 4K texture will work. We're going to use just a single. We're just going to use one banner or one texture for all the images. So I'm just going to drag and drop. Okay, sometimes this doesn't work depending on the image you are trying to use. So let me just save these images into a new folder. Yeah, this is too low resolution. Let me just use this. Let me also add a food banner somewhere. Food banner. Add. So we need quite a few, I think, for this to look more realistic. So let's find a few variations. Let's first place these so that you can see how I'm going to utilize them. So I'll just go to my textures folder, just drag and drop these in here. Just start moving them around. Remember, this is a 4K texture, so I'm not worried about the resolution. And then I can save this into an image. I'm just going to save this into a PNG image, because PNG retains more texture detail than JPEG, so it doesn't have a lot of compression, and that is going to be very useful in case we try to use alpha images, some alpha or transparency in our project. I should save this in the same file, so let me do that. So find my models, 2020 match, and this is train, interior train, so I'll call this banners. Now we can go back and start texturing these. So the first thing we want to do is make sure this has at least a base material, and I think we can use the metal material. Let's try the white plastic. The textures don't really come out very much on this, so let's just use the metal. Maybe metal. And we are going to apply the array and the mirror modifier so that each of these can be given their own material or their own texture. So I'll just unwrap these, then create a new. I'm just going to reuse this metal material because I want the scratches there. So duplicate this, and I'm going to call this banners. Then assign that material, but we don't want it to have the metalness, so I'll just remove that. So that is just like that. Now we can import our texture, image texture, the image texture we just created. Then feed this directly into our base. Now we just have to go back to UV. And bring in our banners. You can go to loop dev here and start placing one by one. So this can just use this banner here. We need to rotate this 90 degrees. Rotate this 180, and then mirror it on the x-axis to have our first image. Let's go back to layout and make sure that, I think we can see the reflections there. Just going to, sorry, the scratches. Just going to increase the scratches just a bit. Also give this a clear coat so that it's a bit more reflective. And then we can work on the other ones. So this here, we can give it the watch. Rotate this negative 90 degrees. Rotate this 90 degrees. I think that's nice. So we have to do this for quite a few of these. You know, because I have this image as a 4K image, it's really slowing down my when I'm trying to move, it's slowing down things. So what I'm going to do is first convert this into that might cause a few. No, actually, let me convert this into 1080 by 1080, 1080 by 1080, so that is easier to work with, and then we can scale it up after we are done. Hello -4 star, how are you doing? That's a cool name. So I'm just going to reload this. Now it should be far easier to move around here. Let's rotate this mirror. Now for this, let's use this film poster. Just rotate this. I'm going to mirror these by NVIDIA Origins so that this works on all of them. So, and then mirror this on the Y, and this on the X. I can Blender is better with textures in the same size, 10 by 10, 10 by 80 by 10. Yeah, it's better with a squared texture instead of uneven textures. Let me just use this. Now let's go back to the layout and see how things look. You can see now what we have. Now let's work on these top banners. So let's go back to Photoshop and find some white banners. Wide web banners. I think this is a nice collection of banners. We can use that. Okay, this is taking a while to load. Put the banner of your channel. Now that's a nice idea. So let me just take a screenshot of it. Let me just find the subscribe image. Let's see. There's nothing here. I'm just going to design one. This is too small for. Let me just increase the banner resolution here. Sorry, the image size here. I think we can use a white. I think it's 728 by. Is it 90? Yeah. These banner sizes. Banner design. So let's see. You can also create our own banner as suggested by Angel. So just add our nice plug there. So I'll change my font. I usually use, I think, this font here. Shouldn't be capital letters. Find the subscribe button, throw it in there. Yes, I have to change the color here. Something that will stand out, hopefully. I also add my second channel, with Blender Money channel. And also, let's bring in the other banners. I could actually just use my Fiverr, because I used to do this on Fiverr, designing banners and websites, but I stopped because it was a lot of work. Just drag this in. This should take up enough space because there are quite a few banners. Maybe not that much. My banner looks the worst, but that's okay. Am I forgetting my username? So it's my fix. I think those are enough. Yeah, this is... I used to have to design banners and websites here, but I stopped doing that because yeah, it was too much work. But anyway, let's go with those for now and see how they will look. Okay, and I'm going to change the resolution back to 1080 by 1080. And for the final image, we'll just use the 4K image. So let's go to Blender, new editing, use Alt R to refresh. Now let's work on these top banners here. We just need to unwrap just one, this inside face. Now we can apply this array and the mirror, and then now we just need to move. First of all, let's give this material. So we're going to use the plastic gray, light gray. Actually no, plastic light gray, and then the banner material. Assign that to the face. Now we can start moving these around, scale them down. I think we need to mirror this on the x-axis like that. That's good. Then I'll select this, have it as my channel banner. I need to make my design far better than everything here, because this is what I used to do, but my banner looks the worst here. But I don't want to make this into a banner design tutorial. So then we can go to banner 2, banner 3. We can use this pizza thing because I think a slice of it can work. For this, we can use something like that. Can use the Star Wars. So we would have to do this even on this other side, but I don't feel like doing that. So what I'm going to do is just delete this side and then reuse my mirror modifier to mirror everything on this side. The problem is we're going to have the textures also mirrored, but there is an option here to UV flip these textures, sorry, the UVs, and that should mirror everything nicely. Though we are still going to have the same things repeated here, but I guess that's not too big an issue. So let's see how things look here. I think things are coming together now. If we added screen space reflections, this is what we have. And we would also need to bake the lighting. But before we do that, I'm going to isolate this container. I just call it a container. this piece here and start adding some of those details there. So let's UV unwrap this. Correctly we unwrap it, and I'm also going to apply this mirror. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. So if we're going to apply that mirror, we have to also apply, let's isolate this, we would also have to apply a few of the booleans. We would also have to apply this solidify modifier, and then this boolean, and then the mirror. The rest we can deal with later. So if we unwrap this, I'm mostly interested in the inside portion of this. So just going to add a loop there, Control E, maxim, unwrap. Let me remove this here, and also add a seam around the windows. Control E, maxim. If I unwrap, this is what we have. I should actually just work on this side, and then we'll UV unwrap. We'll apply the mirror after we UV unwrap this correctly. Maxim. There's an option to live UV unwrap, and what that does is just unwrap everything as you add the seams. So I'm also going to add a seam here, Control E, maxim. You can see I'm also just going to use this as well. Let me see, what is this here? Just remove that end gone there, so that I can add a seam that is continuous there. Control E, maxim. Okay, what we're going for is that to have a more straightened UVs. I think if you change this from angle based to conform, we might get a better UV map. And what I'm also going to do is maybe add a seam around here, so that we even get more straight areas. So I'm also going to add a seam around there, so that I can have more straightened areas. Let's see, what is this edge loop here? Okay, so this seems to be for the back side here, which I don't really care much about because we're not going to be seeing that a lot. So now that we have that, I think we can apply, let me see my reference image here. Yeah, we need to add the mirror and then apply it. Now if we unwrap, actually we need to make sure, you need to make sure that we use our mirror object so that this is the right width. Now we can unwrap this to have something like that. So now I can export this UV. Let's apply the scale, and then UV pack average islands, and then we can increase the margin here just a bit so that we don't have any overlapping UVs. And we're going to do the texturing over in Photoshop just to add a few details like these here. I don't like how this is bending, up the mesh, so let me fix that. Okay, I think this is on the back side, which I don't really care much about. Maybe let me just add a loop here. So this is the back side. We only care about the front side, which is straight. And what I'm also going to do is just select the back pieces, scale them down so that they don't take up a lot of texture space, and can repack the islands so that only the inside parts are taking up a lot of space. And see, this is also a back side, so I can just reduce that in size. UV pack islands, that will also help me know what are the back sides and what are the front sides. So where I should focus more and where I shouldn't really. Yeah, and I think that's it. So that's it. That's on the inside, inside. So outside. So now we can export this UV into Photoshop and start working on the details. So Photoshop, just going to create a new image. Should be a 4K image as well. Actually, we need to import or bring in our texture. So interior terrain, this here, drop it in, and I'm using Photoshop because doing this in Blender would be really hard. There's not a lot of texturing tools for Blender, especially for creating these kind of details. So let's first work on this here, and I need to first identify what part that is. So to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to shade master. I'm going to take a break I'm going to break first. Oh, that's okay, man. Thank you for being around. So what I'm going to do is create a new layer here and just paint over different islands. Just so I'm going to use the lasso tool here just to color code them so that I know what part is what. So just going to give this a green. So that when I go back to Blender, I can easily tell which panels I'm looking at. Thank you, Angel. Thank you. And I can also select this here. Give it a different color. I think the rest are just maybe, I'm not sure what these are. So let's also color code them. So now I can save this image and go to shading. What I'm going to do is just divide this and use the UV editor here. Now I can import. I'm just going to import the texture here. This, so that I can tell what parts are what. Yeah. So now we know that if we are texturing the blue parts, we are texturing this side. If we are texturing the pink, this side, and yeah. So let's go back to Photoshop and add let me see, what do we want to add? I want to add let's first add this piece here. So I'll just open up Photoshop again, and that piece is on the blue side around the door. So I can just add a rounded rectangle like this. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert this into a smart object so that I can go into that smart object, start working on this without being distracted with all the other pieces. So I'm just going to scale this up to something like just going to use 1000, resolution of 1000. Maybe scale this in just a bit and fill the back with a gray material. So we're going to have two maps. One is going to be a bump map and another one is going to be the color map. So let's first work on the bump map. So the back is supposed to be gray materials like this. This is should not have a fill. Now we need to create this ring here. So for that I'm just going to add a circle. Texturing is definitely not my favorite part. Tamiz Sadon, how are you doing? Yeah, texturing is time consuming and yeah, definitely not that interesting, but you have to do it to get your stuff to look realistic. That's why we have to go through this process. So we're making these circles, and I think I've made these balls a bit too wide. So let me just redo this. Yeah, I wish this was easier, but yeah, it is not. So I just want to turn this into circles. So I'll just duplicate this, Ctrl T, take this 90, select these, duplicate them, and we have that. So obviously there are more than what I'm having here, but just have to go with that for now. And for the other circles, I'm just going to use a brush. I don't think they're even. Just add a few like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just simply has to look interesting. So we have that. Now what else? What else? We need to add this patch here. And let's first reduce the width here to something like 20. For the patch. Again, we are still working on the bumps, so there is no need for adding a lot of color. So this is going to be a bit lighter. No fill, no stroke, something like that. And maybe actually we want to give it a stroke, a very thin stroke. And maybe this is too bright, so something like that, like around there. And this also should be filled in. With a lighter color as well. And let's see, we also need, let me just get my image here, my reference image onto my screen so that is easier. Let's add the class, the cross, and so for the cross I'm just going to use this. Line. So give it a green color, and let's also add some text here. I'll just call this top channel medical assistance. Let's change the font. Yeah, this is the most boring part, but again, we have to do it. Let's see, let's reduce the font. Let's see our reference image. So let's save this. We need to bring it in. So I can select everything, drag this into this scene, and convert this into a smart object. Now if this is scaled up, it won't lose its resolution. So let's see how we are placing this. So it is next to the door, and our door, so between the door and the window, so around here. We need to go back into that and first disable this so that this comes with transparency like that. Now if we remove these save this, go to our image, reload this. You can see that this is placed where it needs to be, but it's too high, so we need to bring it back down. I'm going to lock this layer so that I don't move it accidentally. So this has to be around there. Maybe scale down a bit further, and we have this caution sign that I'm just going to get directly from the internet. And most of the signs we're going to get directly from the internet, so let's do that. So have that. So we have this. Please follow the rules. Okay, this can work. Okay, let's first add these and see how things go. So let's see where we're adding this. We want them below somewhere there. Then you can add this stop sign. Stop sign. Maybe we can just use this here, just next to the door. Go to my door here. So we have this UV space here. I think you can see that the doors also have some stickers to them. So we can also place textures around there, and when we're UV unwrapping the door, we can have it in that space. Just have this here. It will all depend on how detailed you want to be. So Let's see how these look. And I think we can increase the image resolution here to 4K. So that's 40 by I think 8, 40 by 16. I don't know. Let's just go with this. So if we refresh this image, you can see what we have. So we can mix this with a color image. Just have the alpha as the factor. And connect this. Then we have our images. We also don't want this to cross those lines, so let's go into Photoshop. Close some of these. So we don't want this to be there. Also don't want this to cross that line. This shouldn't also cross that line. Let's see what else we can add. I think there's not a lot of stickers actually. This caution tape is kind of this looks nice. So let's find that. This looks good and very important. Maybe this as well, since it's related to travel. So So why do we have to use web instead of PNG for texture? No, I'm using textures. I'm using PNG for the texture. The reason why I'm saving for web here is that saving using for web Photoshop optimizes the image so that it's more compressed. So you have more options here, but I'm still saving a PNG format. There is an option to save under file, save as, and you can choose PNG from these options here, but this version will not be as compressed as this here. So it's just a matter of using what it's just a matter of how optimized you want the image to be, and I'm used to using this, so that's why I'm using it. Let's also add a little bit more here, and I think we are done with those small details. Okay, this is a web format which can be brought into Photoshop. So I'm just going to screenshot it and then paste it here, and just then I also want to convert it into a smart object so that it doesn't lose resolution when I'm scaling it down. So now we are done with those. So let's reload this. And we should be good. So my scratches are not really coming out very much, so I'm just going to add a math node here, change this to power so that they can really pop a bit. And see now what we are having. Now we need to add back our modifiers, bevel, and now we have something like that. Let's work with this ground here. So this ground, let me again isolate this. Let's go back to shading where we have everything isolated. So I'm going to call this again banners, banner or stickers. Now this floor here, I need a separate material, so let's do that. Call this floor, then assign, and now let's work on that flow material. We can use noise textures, sorry, a noise map. So let's bring that in. And increase the scale like that. Then we can add a convert color ramp to colorize the noise. So let's pick that for the dark parts and just play with the colors a bit here. Just going to make this white, maybe this dark like that, and then we can have this connected to the base color, and this to the roughness. We can add a math node here, and then we can also use this for the bumps. So vector bump, but we are going to use a very low bump strength. Connect this. Now if we preview this material, you see just have to give it a few seconds to calculate. Now we can control the reflections like that. Let's see, what else do we need here? So we can go back to our layout, and you can see how things are coming out. Make sure I'm saving this. Let's work on this door here. So let me first bring back everything. Let's work on the door. and these back sides. So maybe let me also zoom in here. So this need that white plastic material. Let me isolate it for a second as well. Then these here, this inside should use, let me just select them. I think up to that. I need to use the sticker material. Sticker, like that, assign. But I need to UV unwrap it and go to UV editor. For this, I'm going to use the projection by view to unwrap this. And then what I'm going to do is bring in my image. So it's called plane. No, I think it's called plane. Yeah, this here. And let's see. If we look at this here, this frame, you can see for SUVs we have some free space. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to select that free select those and put this in that free space like that. Now I think we also can work on the doors right now. You'll be unwrapping the doors. So just I think I'm also going to use project from view to unwrap this. So projection from view, and again if we select this, you can see we have some space left over for that door. So rotate this 90 degrees and place it directly where our door is. And I think I have NVIDIA origin set on, so let me just scale by median point, rotate this 90 degrees, have it here. And if you look at our door, it's mirrored. It's mirrored. So what I'm going to do is apply that mirror. So I think I'm using an array for instead of using the mirror. So let me apply this. Let me apply that array and just projection by view again, and then rotate this 90 degrees. And because I have this 4K image in the background, it's kind of slowing down how my UVs are moving. So I'm just going to scale this and put it back into position. Select this so that we can see our UV layout. Yeah, something like that. So now we know where our doors are. And I'm also going to select this window, our window here, then unwrap it so that I can also have it placed in the window area. So I'm going to scale this up, scale it down, place it in the window area like that. Now let's see what else. I think that's it for the most part. Let's go back. I think I'm using a very wide camera angle, so let's try 45 for the camera. Remember our doors here, this door here has some glass to it, so let me just use white plastic on it and then add the glasses to it. Let's bake the light, and I think we'll start from there in the next video. So let's first bake the light, add all the effects, and maybe also adjust our lighting just a bit because we have added a few things. So let me see if I add a few warm lights here, because we have a lot of blue light. Let me first turn that off in here. Down on contact shadows, I just move this light above, around there, make it a bit warm like that, then use Alt D to duplicate it, Shift R to repeat that. Now let's so this looks a bit heavy, so let's try 200. Now we can turn on screen space reflections and bake the indirect lighting. Oh, see, the problem is we don't have any light probes. So let's see, light probe, irradiance, scale it. I'm not sure how this is going to look because of the shape of our train here, but let's see. That's going to increase the samples on the, I think it's the y-axis, and I'm also going to add some reflection cube maps. Just going to scale them up, then Shift D to duplicate them, Shift R. Now we can bake and see how things look. Now this is going to take some time to bake, but so what I'm going to do is after it bakes, I'm going to have this on my Discord server. Let me just paste the link to my Discord server so that you can see the final render. It's not going to be the final render because we're still working on this, but let me also just close this. So let me share my Discord server. I post mostly reference images and the things we're going to work out. I can see the reference images there. Yeah, so I'll be posting most of the reference images we use from there. So this is my Discord server. I'll be posting also some rendered images for this project that we are working on right now. So yeah, I'll see you in the next stream, which will come up maybe later in the day. Yeah, thank you for watching.